Chiptune and Ableton Live with my Push 2. Should be a good time. You can see got my Push 2 on cam, so you can check it out. It's not the most comfortable position to play it over there. It can be done, but as you can see, the camera is not really set up for that. I'm just gonna set it on my lap. It's a really cool tool. Basically, this is the session view, and then if you go to like the note view and then choose an instrument, you can see, I don't know how well the camera is picking it up because of how bright the lights have to be and how dim the camera has to, or how dim the room has to be for the camera to pick up the LEDs on the thing. But as you can see, it's got a full color screen, which is nice. I don't know if you could tell, I was just changing the tone of the bass there. I could do the same to the treble here. Let's see. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play with things this way. What I like to do is I like to start with a wavetable for Chiptune, because it's just I'm just gonna get right into it, because leaning over and all of that is kind of funny. So yeah, so what's cool is you can just go into the stuff that's already playing and play with it, right? And I'll get into making some new stuff real soon here. See if anyone joins the chat or anything like that, wants to ask any questions or anything like that. But yeah, so you can kind of just get into the instrument here and change things. Like I can change the release. So now it sounds like a doorbell. But there's a lot of other cool things you can do. So you can change the oscillator. This is the pulse width with the classic effect type. This is the FM effect type with the pitch adjustment. Right? Not seeing much variation there. But the classic effect type is my favorite because that's what Chiptune uses. And really, I think you're only gonna see like 50%, or like here, a 50%, oh, that's 51, 50% square wave, and like a 25, 25, oh, that's 26. The exact percentage makes a difference because it's chiptune, right? But it doesn't make that much of a difference here. So then there's also 75, which you might hear. So yeah, those are different pulse widths that came programmed into like the Game Boy, and I'm pretty sure. So, I haven't done as much research on other classic hardware, classic consoles. So I'm not going to say too much on the NES and other instruments or consoles. But I did research a lot on the Game Boy soundboard, because honestly I wanted to start with something that was, well, first of all, I love the Game Boy. I had a Game Boy forever, and Game Boy is just like my favorite, to be honest. Like, maybe not my favorite, but it's so awesome. It's, as far as instruments go, like, Game Boy camera was so much fun. Like, I would really love to get into that whole scene, but honestly, this is just a little bit more productive, it feels like. But yeah, I haven't done anything yet, so I'm just gonna jump in and just kind of delete these changes because I'm not really interested in them. I like to keep everything as unchanged as possible up until I'm ready to just go and change it. And usually I already have like a few varieties of melodies and riffs worked out at that point. So yeah, this is my basic template here. I've been working a lot in 110 BPM, which is nice and kind of fast, but not too fast. It's used in like retro wave, vaporwave, and synthwave, that type of stuff. A lot of times we like. Oh, and I keep the accent button on this instrument because otherwise you'll get variations in the way that I'm doing the drums, which you don't really want in chiptune. You might want that in like metal or something if you're trying to make drums for rock or metal or like music outside of chiptune, maybe. But this particular setup here is actually really interesting. These are not samples. These are operators, right? And an operator is like 4 oscillator synth with the LFO filter. It's this really cool pitch envelope. And then I haven't really played too much with the synthesis stuff here, like I don't know the best way to describe it, but they're like chain commands or chain links or something. I don't know. Basically, you select different ones and they affect how this is like routed. I don't even know what I'm saying here. Anyways, yeah, I haven't gotten too much into that, but everything else in Operator is really cool. I've actually been using it for over 10 years. But what I'm doing here is I'm making drum beats using the synth, which is not easy to do actually. When I first started doing production and stuff, well, actually, I've been doing it for a while, but I wasn't very good. Once I started learning how to master, I had this buddy who was giving me hints on mastering, right? So that's when I was like finally learning how to make things sound like the CD, right? Otherwise, people would be like, well, I have to turn it up really loud, or why does it sound weird? And I didn't really know. I couldn't really answer those questions. I was just like a musician at that point. That was like a recording musician. And I was studying recording, but I hadn't gotten that far yet. Compression and EQ and limiting is like the basics of it. And outside of that, I like to think that when you're composing the track, you're actually doing some of the mastering beforehand, because you have to give space, right? Well, I guess when you're composing in something like this, it's easy to say that. If you're composing on paper, then it's different. Oops, I've started a track. So I usually don't start with the drums. It's really easy to, but it can be kind of limiting because then you don't really, you're kind of limited to that, right? I like to start with the melody and the metronome. It can be kind of annoying, but you get used to the metronome. And usually I start with the bass line because I started with bass when I was growing up. I was like 4th or 5th grade. Let's see what scale I'm in here. Alright, so I'm in B major, and I kind of like that. But I want things to sound like military and spacey, and happy at the same time, right? Like an anthem for a space military. Yeah, so I like this key. So I pretty much already wrote a riff, right? So I might as well just record it. That's the way I've been doing things. Alright, so I kind of screwed that up. And there's this button here, fixed length. Now it's kind of strange because I use two different computers, and my laptop that I'm using right now has different setup than like the different default template. And it turns that button on. So I'm still getting used to certain things like that. So I'm actually going to turn it off. It's super useful if you know exactly what's going on, but I like to just kind of start on the offbeat. I don't know if I can change the metronome, but sometimes I just put this on my lap because there's a few buttons on the keyboard that I wish they put like right here, you know what I mean, or like right here. There's some spots on this where they could have put more buttons, like a delete button would have been nice. Right? I keep looking for, oh, there's a delete button. But what it does is it deletes this. Like, see how it's got a green ring on it? I can be working in here, and there's no green ring there. But it's still there. It's just, or no, I don't know. I don't know what it is. But if I hit the delete button, that whole track is gone, right? Which in this case is what I actually want. But if I just wanted to delete some of the notes or whatever, I can't do that. There's you can't do a lot of the editing on the piano roll. But so I still keep the mouse and keyboard around, but I fucking love this thing. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna start over again and just. Yeah. It's simple enough, right? So it looks like crap right now, so I'm just gonna fix it up real quick. And I'm not really sure. I feel like it should oh, I see what's going on. So yeah, everything's in place here for the most part, but it's not very clean. There's a few different ways you can do this. Some people use quantize. I do from time to time. It really depends on the track. If it's drums, it makes it a lot easier to quantize. Because if you're using a drum rack in Ableton, you can just quantize the starting point. You have to worry about the ending point. But I like to use the arrow keys. Arrow keys make it really easy. It just kind of snaps into the next grid. cables are in my way. Much better. Okay. Yeah, so that's what I want. So at this point I just start duplicating things because it's just a square wave. It's like the most basic like Game Boy style thing you could think of. Like the Game Boy had a triangle, square wave, like some variations of the square wave pulse width. It had like a noise, and did I say triangle wave? I don't know, I'm distracted. It had a triangle, square, pulse width, square, and noise. And it might have had a sine wave. I'm not sure. I don't know about the sine wave. I forget. But yeah. Alright, so we've got that. Now I've got it twice, so I'm just going to delete this one. I can actually put it there. And then I can hit play. And we don't even need the metronome anymore. Let's turn it up a little bit. Anyways, that tangent is a little bit sadder than what I was doing before. I kind of liked what I had before. So if I look at this one, I can very easily remember what I was doing. I was starting here. So it was like... Alright, I'll have to take a second to remember exactly what I was doing. It was like... Yeah, no, I don't remember. Oh, okay, I think that was it. So that's all I need to play then. Anyways, I think I can make sense of that last one. Sometimes it comes down to that. Oops. Thought I hit stop. Where it's like, I'm not the world's best musician. I'm just trying to make it work. So that sounds off. It seems like everything should be happening like on the 1 or the 2. Take the 1 once I get this one right, and I'll just like replace the other one. I don't think this note needs to be there. Yeah. Some of these notes are just like straight. Something sounds off there. Just that one note. Okay, so that's pretty much done. Not sure what's going on with the notes here. So I've got this crazy limitering going on that bass drum. This really basic compression and like default stuff basically. It's just I cut the 8th band. So yeah. So this point I'm just gonna make a really basic drum beat, and I can turn on, what is it, fixed length, quantize, I don't know how quantize works. Yeah, 16, 40, 16's probably good. kick is a little saturated. So I'm just gonna make, or give it another compressor, rather. is I like to make an attempt to match that. At least it doesn't have to be exact or whatever. If I'm way off or if I find something that I like, I'll just record it anyways. That's my other thing here, is that if I start doing something that I like, I just record it, and if I don't like it, I'll throw it down here at the bottom, and I'll just leave it for later or whatever. Because years later, I'll come back and I'll say, what the heck is this? Oh, this is kind of cool. I never did anything with this. And that stuff happens all the time with me. So, what I like to do is just play the bass line. Look at it in my situation. And then you can just kind of come up with the second bass line in the next octave. Right? Because a song should have, the bass line should be cohesive. And then I can just bring it down an octave. So something like that, but down here. I turn the metronome back on. That really sounds way different. Yeah. Anyways, I kind of like that last part. And I didn't really like anything else in this, so I'm just gonna crop it because I was just trying to get to this and that. Sometimes there'll be like a lot of stuff, and in that situation, I'll keep it, you know, because I might go back to it or whatever. But in this situation, this is all I needed, and it's pretty demented here, so we're just gonna keep fixing stuff. This is like half of what I do. It's just fixing what I've already made. There was like a little bit of a swing to it. I think I've kept it this swing so far. sound 100% right. Sounds better. this thing. Ah. Every once in a while, a cable touches that thing and I don't realize it. It's the master volume, obviously. The master volume was cranked, that's why it sounded bad. Wonder how long that was like that. The whole stream. Probably as soon as I moved it. That sounds a lot better. Holy cow, that sounds a lot better. I'm just not interested in that bass line anymore. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote it. It's too bouncy and fun. I want it to be more, I don't know. This one's not as bouncy and fun. It's more serious, but like distance. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's far away. Yeah, I like that better. Let's do that. I like that. Oh, it's got that fixed length button. Alright. Yeah, this is another button. This button right here. I use this button all the time. But it's missing from here. I think maybe if you hit shift and yeah, okay, so shift and play is the stop button. But you see, this is a different stop button than that, okay? Because that just stopped the metronome. It stops up here. Yeah. There's too many things to fit onto the device, I think. So, yeah, okay. It's just making sure the stream was actually working. For some reason it's not loading on my Twitch. Just gonna refresh that. But it looks like it's working on Restream, so. Hey, it looks like I'm online on Facebook too, which is cool. Sometimes that doesn't work, so I can pull that up. Wrong keyboard. Sorry, I'm just checking on the stream here. Oh, cool. It looks like someone reacted. That's cool. Well, I've got the chat open now. Now I'm going towards the YouTube. Just bear with me here. I'm getting towards the YouTube. Oh shit! Come on now. What is this? Go away. Okay, cool. Now I've got chats open in case people join streams. Cool. Everything's working. Yay. All right. Back to making a new bass line. So yeah, that'll work, I think. Not very bassy though, so see what I can do about that. Maybe this one's not low enough too. I'm just moving it down 12 semitones. Oh yeah, that sounds much better. Actually sounds like a bass, although it's kind of funky. I've got a restream chat that should have all the chats in there. I should just be using that. I don't know why I didn't do that in the first place. Okay. So, what did I just do? Grab the wrong thing. Okay. It's not gonna work well. So I've got all these monitors everywhere. Okay. That way, if anyone chats with me, I should be able to see it on Restream. And still be able to look at Twitch shit. Right, now melody. There it is. That was it. All of that for just this. Something like that. Alright, just need to clean it up. Like I said, I didn't really like any of the other stuff. I was just trying to make this. Let's hear how they mesh. This is a little more serious. A lot more serious. I feel like there would definitely need to be something in between those two. But that's alright. We'll move on to the next one. It's like I was missing the button. Yeah. It's really hard not to sound happy in this key. It's either happy or too sad, right? It's definitely not like C major, which is what I've been mostly doing. It's kind of hard without the metronome. Or is it? I play in this BPM a lot, so it's like it's already in my head. That's the button I'm looking for. Yeah, I don't know how long to make them. Probably dotted. Yeah. And then for the drums. They're three very different sketches. Those two go together the best. So I think it's at the end of the bass line that's causing that funkiness, right? But I'm not seeing anything. It's like I'm still caught up on that funkiness. Something going on there. I think it's the combination here. You know, I never took the bass line out of this. Is that what's up? That is what's up. Ha! Well, that sounds a lot better. Sounds like Stone Sour. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm not super happy with any of those, to be honest. I think maybe one more sketch and then I'll switch keys. Sorry, that's something that I... Yeah, just screwing around. No. That's what I wanted. Yeah, that key is pretty difficult to write what I'm trying to write, and so I'm gonna switch. But I am gonna save all of that. Don't know if I'll use it ever, but you never know. I mean, some of that was cool. The mood just wasn't exactly what I was going for. Oops. 110. And that was B major, I believe. I should date it. Sounds like we're in a town in an RPG from NES. Alright, save all that. Yeah, I'm gonna eat something real quick, take a break. Yeah, so yeah, it won't be too long, maybe 10 minutes or so. But yeah, I haven't really eaten anything yet, so I'm gonna do that. I can throw on what's pretzel. What? What? Yeah. So I'll be right back. I'm just gonna eat something, and then I'll be back to making more chiptunes in Ableton here. Oops, there we go. All right, I'll be back soon. Alright, I am done eating. Let's see if I can get this back. Alright. So yeah, I am going to either dump out one of these old sets or make something new. I think I'm just gonna, whoa. I think I'm gonna do both. I think I'm gonna jump into this one and make something new. So I've got these already set up. See if I can't accidentally crank it again. Okay. All right. Okay. So now we're in C major, something I've been jamming in a lot lately, so I know it pretty decently now. As far as how to make different moods. At least moods within like retro Spaceballs mood. Or the general aesthetic of retro Spaceball. Let's get that metronome going and stop these. a different drum rack, but I like the other one better. This one's not as, it's just got 4 sounds. It's not as robust. I haven't spent as much time on it, but luckily I have all of mine here. So what I can do is I can just duplicate it, right? Because I want a lot of the bus or the rack or whatever you would call this here, the effects chain. But I'm just going to replace the drum rack. And actually, I could keep some of these if I wanted. Because they sound better. I might as well. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. That's better with both of them, though. Be fine. Oops. I think it sounds better with both of them. Wrong button. I know I just used this, but it's a pretty common drum beat, so. Might as well, right? So, it's worth mentioning that when I'm making drum racks these days, I typically keep them in things in about the same location. My snares, I'll put the snares at the top, and usually the further to the right they get, the more explosive they get. Sometimes they'll just be explosions by the time they're over here. These ones over here, these 6, I leave for percussion and stuff. Actually, these I usually put snares on as well, and then the 4 at the bottom I keep for kicks, and I just kind of keep that like in chunks of like 4x4, because this isn't like it's laid out like that, so I can actually, like if I select the drum rack, I can actually go through and move through the drum all like an entire rack this way. You can't really see in this view, but here you can. We're looking at this thing down here. I'm actually scrolling through all of it, but I've only filled out one of them. So what I can do is I can take pieces of them and fill them in elsewhere and stuff. But yeah, mostly I've just been working with like one square at a time. I found that to be helpful in making the drum racks, because sometimes it takes forever to make them if you're doing a whole 64 thing, and then it's like, I mean, it's fun to do it that way. I have a whole bunch of racks that are set up that way, but they're not chiptune. Well, some of them are. I like those ones were sample based because I have a lot of samples, but I really like sorry, my train of thoughts diverted. I really like samples, and I've been collecting samples for a long time, but I really also like FM synthesis. So to be able to make drums using like an operator in Ableton is pretty cool. I think that's pretty dope. And that's what I've been doing with these. So each one of these is a different operator with completely different setup, right? So these ones are based off of each other. And it's interesting to go through and see the changes, right? You can see some right off the bat here in the filter. So just a tiny change in the filter makes that big of a difference. It's changing the pitch, the frequencies and stuff, what note it's hitting. But if I wanted to, I could change it further, but it's nice to just do subtle changes. Here again, I'm just making, I added some saturation to it. And a different EQ, as well as a different filter, to make different wood blocks. And the wood block, like if you were to turn all of this stuff off, it gets really quiet. I can show you on this one that's kind of missing all these racks or all these different drum hits. It's really easy to start from scratch, right? In case anyone wants to learn how to make drum hits using operator here. What I usually do is I'll grab a kick that already exists, because making a kick can be kind of difficult to make it sound just how you want it to. But I can show you that it's actually quite a bit of fun. So this operator instrument here, you can drop in any instrument, but operator is really useful. So you know, let's do a snare. A snare might be a little bit easier to do. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can go about this. A snare is mostly gonna be reverb, believe it or not. So first of all, that's what it sounds like when you just drop an operator in, right? That doesn't sound like a snare. So it kind of sounds more like a tom. But this one sounds like a snare. But it's the same instrument. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it more like that. So yeah, we want to be able to see it in a different screen here. I'm gonna just double check here. Let's see. Yeah, for some reason, okay. Yeah, my microphone's like right in the way of where I need to look. So if you see me doing that, that's why. There's a bunch of different things we can do here. One of them is to go into the waveform itself and to make it noise, which might be interesting since that's not what I did on these, right? Of course, the thing about noise is that you're never gonna have a completely like retro noise. Although this noise looped is close, I think there's a way to get it even closer. How did I do it? I can't really remember. I was playing with it one time and I was like, oh, that's almost close to what I'm usually trying to do. You can draw your own waveform. How cool is that? It's fun, but not the most usable. So that's the next step. Typically, operator comes in with the sustain all the way up. So I always get confused here, but it starts with this oscillator button checked. Go to envelope, and then grab this one, drop it all the way down. Now, by moving it left and right, you're playing with the decay here. Also, there's a release to think about. That's when you let go. How long does the sound play out? Since it's a snare, it's probably going to have reverb on it, so we don't need to go crazy with it and add the reverb on the instrument. But what we can do is we can start adding the reverb after the fact. So let's do that. Audio effects. Got our reverb and resonance. Reverb. And I'm just going to drop it in this little slot here to put it in the drum rack. Or the drum rack slot, rather. And then what I also like to do is I like to mimic what's going on, because this stuff is for this entire track, right? So I'm going to make it so each unit, each little section of this is going to have an EQ, a compressor, and a limiter. Now what I do is I start with the bass EQ with everything just flat, and then the 8 with this guy, because you don't need these high-end frequencies at all. No one can hear them, and they just muddy up the sound when it comes to producing and mastering and stuff like that. So the reason why I leave it flat is that way I can hear what it sounds like flat, and then I know what it needs to do later, right? So a lot of times I'll just leave it flat until the very end. And then I'll make adjustments. And then typically I'll do the same thing here. if everything in the track needs to be adjusted, then that's where I make these adjustments. So you just want to make sure that if you do it this way, you just pay attention to what's at the very end and what's on the inside. All right, so this reverb, we're going to start off with it on high, the quality setting that is. I turn down the pre-delay. I don't like that. It makes it feel like it's coming in late. I turn down a lot of this stuff. And then really the size is going to play with the tone. Your stereo is going to make it sound more or less like retro, I would say, like, because retro is mostly mono, so it would be like, but then you put the stereo in, there's a big difference. If you're going for like a very like, what's the word, you know, accurate representation of classic, then you would probably want to stick with the stereo down. But if you're trying to make something that's appealing to today's listeners, you might want to crank it or put it somewhere in between. I tend to crank it if I'm going for that sound. If I'm not, then I tend to turn it all the way down. Sometimes I put it in between, but usually it's one or the other. Shape, I think this just affects the spin. I could be wrong. Anyways, I don't really like to use spin or shape. The spin, it's useful in like I don't know, other types of music, but in chiptune you want things to be consistent, especially with the drums. And I do typically, I mean, I use reverb on a lot of things, but when it's in chiptune, it's almost always just the drums, because there's, I mean, you can do reverb in chiptune and stuff like that, but there's not a lot of it in actual chiptune, so use it sparingly, I would say, unless you're going for that blended sound, which a lot of people do. So I mean, if that's your thing, totally do that. So I feel like it's coming on a little later, something. I want it to be, yeah, I want it to be like crack. Right? And then we'll let the reverb take care of the everything else. So what I like to do, this is kind of a trick, but a well-known trick. I like to gate my reverb. I think this is like an 80s thing mostly to do, especially with your snares. So with the gate, you only hear it above the threshold and between the threshold and the return. But what that lets you do is really crank up the volume. And if you want, you can compress it. And it takes a while to get it to sound just right. Yeah, once you've got a nice sound, you can do all types of weird things with the gate. Yeah, like I like that. Not everyone likes that. That actually sounds pretty good. Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, if we take all of those out and go back to, and we strip it back away to what it was, right? It's mostly reverb. Like, yeah. So that's how you make drums. Could do the same thing with the kick. Let's throw an operator in there. We're gonna give it the good old EQ compressor limited trio. Yeah, we're going to give it, now with the kick, there's a few things we should do here. I like to use a square. Same thing here. Now here we can you want some tonal shift in it. No, there's a variety of kicks, obviously, that you can go for, and what you're gonna like get is gonna highly depend on what effects you put on it. But this like tube like sound, it's not a bad starting point. So yeah, from here we can do the reverb, which is like almost constant, I would say, on drums. Like even if you're not doing a lot, like I had this dry wet cranked. I'm not gonna do that on the kick, but I am gonna put a gate on it because you don't really want a whole lot of extra kick sounds echoing and stuff. Yeah. So what this is doing, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm basically creating the chamber of the kick drum. Right? This is like a timpani. That's like a tom or a traditional kick. I think something like that is good. I'm gonna cut the stereo on this one so that way it has like a more direct sound. All right. Next step, I like to saturate my kick at least a little bit, but usually I like to do a lot. What are my dynamics? Oh, drive color. There it is. Saturator. This is basically like a distortion pedal. To put it before, after the reverb, you could play with both. I'm gonna do it before. So I like to use this wave shaper one, especially for what I'm doing here. I like to open it up and really crank these. So, you know, I'm not really enjoying that. I'm not liking that. That kind of fixed it. I was still getting this weird splat. Sorry, having fun. I don't know what the heck I'm doing anymore. I'm just... It's good to experiment, right? Alright. So... I'm just gonna start over on that guy. Because I had too much fun with it. Where compression is important. But it doesn't have a lot of EQ here. I feel like it's being funneled. Right, like the high end is just completely gone. Well, that's what's funneling it. Yeah, and later, when you're trying to tune your kicks, because this is just like a generic kick, but when you're writing it, music for, or writing, when you're adjusting your kicks for the song, you're gonna want to tune them. And to do that, you can do it all types of different ways, but one way is to make adjustments on the filtering and the saturation and stuff like that. So you can see how just a small decimal variation makes a big adjustment in the pitch. And so it's real quiet compared to everything else. But that's because it's like super bassy. So the reason why this is chiptune is because this is essentially what people were doing when they were making chiptune music to make the drums. Clearly, a lot goes into making these samples sound like drums. So they couldn't just program each drum separately inside the hardware, inside the game. Like, the game programmers weren't there to program drums. The drums were programmed into by someone who makes samples, right? And the sample person would then make samples that would fit into the hardware that they're working with. So a lot of times they would have to downsample, or they would start with something that was already low. But almost inevitably in the early stuff, you had to downsample your samples. And that's where what we call today bit crushing, in Ableton at least, that's what that is downsampling. So you could use bit crushing in Ableton to further downsample stuff if you wanted it to sound like it was sampled and then downsampled, because that did happen in games. If you had well, it happens all the time in games, but one of my favorites is the double dribble thing. Oh, hey, there's people in the chat. I didn't even realize it. What's chiptune? Chiptune is a genre of music. I missed that. Sorry. Blake Quake Beats, I totally did not see that you were in the chat. But yeah, chiptune is a genre. It's basically just recreating the classic style of making music. Now, back in the day, it was limited by the hardware. Today, we're not really limited, so it's kind of like pixel art, where you can break the rules, but there's rules to pixel art. There's rules to chiptune as well, I would say, but since they're not as defined, in pixel art, people will say like, "Oh, that's not pixel art," or they'll have these tutorials and explain like, "Oh, this is pixel art, and this is why this is pixel art, and this isn't pixel art," even though it's made out of pixels. With chiptune, it's a little bit more ambiguous because you have well, like the music that I was listening to earlier, the pretzel rock stuff. I could throw it out. I'm not doing anything. This stuff is a chiptune radio station. Sometimes the music is hardly chiptune, right? It just happens to be VGM, and they threw it in the chiptune genre, or it's got some retro sounds, but that squelch, that never happened. That pitch shift there, that kind of stuff, a lot of that stuff didn't happen like that. It didn't sound as good when they did it either. You can hear that there's a lot of things being adjusted. And that stuff's fun to do, don't get me wrong. I really like doing that stuff myself. I could show you how to do it real quickly here. I'll just make a duplicate here. And just delete all of this stuff. So this is wavetable, which is one of my favorite instruments in Ableton. I haven't been using it very long, but it's super fucking useful. Excuse me. These are LFOs that you can set up. If you put it, you can set it to be a frequency rate or to the beat. I like to keep it to the beat, but both are very useful. You can do one to the beat and one not to the beat. So you're not hearing anything yet, right? But if I were to like change that parameter there and then go to the matrix here, did that not work? It looks like it's working. Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, I had it set the other way. So they didn't do this stuff in chiptune or in classic games. They were too limited, so they could get a squelch, but they would do it they would sample that one squelch, and then a lot of the times they were stuck to having that squelch. So the squelch tempo would actually adjust depending on where you hit it. So you can hear what this is like, wow, 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 where it would be like, wow, 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 wow. And they would still make music that way, but it wouldn't sound the squelches weren't the same. They had squelches, they just weren't the same. Also, I keep looking around. This is set to modern. If we set it to classic, it's now, instead of like warping it, it's syncing it. Oh, there's also this pulse width one. We set that to default. And I like to add this stuff to my music too. But I'm a little bit more subtle than some of the stuff that's on that pretzel chiptune station. Yeah, so got carried away there. This is also fun with the MIDI arpeggiator. It's got that hold button somewhere. Where's that? Arpeggiator, hold on. Oops. Alright. Well, that was fun. I'll save it. Might as well. Yeah, but I think I'm gonna call it and relax a bit and maybe play some video games or something. I don't know. But this was fun. I got some work done. Got to noodle around a bit. That's always the fun part for me. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining. Yeah, take care. Have a great night. Peace. Later on, everybody.